things are going well, you find ways to get it done. You find ways to win games. And it's not always pretty. It's not always about hitting homers and throwing shutouts and things like that. But you find ways to put it together. And we through, a month plus, we haven't been able to do that. And that's something that it's not one thing that you put your thumb on and go, that's it. It's been kind of a different combination of types of games that we've played.
All right, that's poor Rocco, man. Just explaining away another loss after the game. I have a question for you guys, but let's throw some love to our friends at Dennis Kirk. So Dennis Kirk has been powering these Talkin' Twins discussions all season long. They didn't know it was going to be such a bumpy ride. I don't think any of us did through the first month, but whether it's a bumpy ride with the Twins or if it's a smooth ride on your Harley, your sport bike, if it's riding you like to do, you'll find what you need at DennisKirk.com. 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, clothing and helmets as well. Order by 8 p.m. They ship the same day, plus shipping is free on orders over $89. Truly the best in the business, unlike the collection we're watching at Target Field. Dennis Kirk rises to the moment at DennisKirk.com. Everything you need for your ride.
Smooth rides with Dennis Kirk.
Yeah,
the baseball
not with the Twins
team,
bullpen.
Not so much.
So, okay, last night toward the end of the game, someone snuck down into the Champions Club. I don't know how, the Champions Club I feel like is pretty fortified. You can't just bring cardboard tag board signs, right?
It's the equivalent of the Fort Knox of baseball stadium sections. It's hard to get. I've even used my press pass and they've had to try to stop me before. I'm like, no, I'm allowed in
that
here.
was a Sid Hartman trick. He used to sneak in with his press pass and just eat the buffet every day.
They finally drew the line there too and said you can't use your press pass to get into there because we had certain people, they will not be named, who were doing exactly that. I think Dark started too.
Oh, that makes total sense.
I think Dark.
Dark would. You could just be watching the game and Dark would be sitting right behind home plate.
I think that was once in a while some press pass usage as well as probably tickets.
Hey man, just flash the badge. Okay, but someone snuck down with a gigantic Fire Rocco sign behind home plate.
I'm looking at it right now.
How much is Rocco specifically to blame for the Twins' miserable start this year? How much can you pin on Rocco?
Okay, Rocco has had a very bumpy ride himself. He has not been good. He has made questionable decisions. I think the decision, if it ultimately fell to him, and I think we have to assume it did, to bring in Waddell a couple nights ago was still terrible. His bullpen's not good, I get that, but there were better choices, and a guy who just got lit up the night before by basically the same guys was probably going to fail. So I am not absolving him, but I'm also looking at, and this surprises me too, Phil. I mean, I predicted this team was going to win 96 games. When you look at the lineups,
is that mathematically possible anymore?
I don't. It was one of my worst predictions of all time. When you look at the lineup right now and you look at, to go back to our conversation with Patrick yesterday with Kepler and Polanco and the fact that these guys are continuing to not play well. And when you look at the bullpen and the fact that there's no question the front office got cute there. The front office just thought, we'll bring more guys in. It'll be great. Yeah. We'll be fine. So Rocco is definitely to blame. I don't like how Rocco sort of seems lost right now. I was hoping the first big slump, he'd be like, I've got some answers. I don't feel like he does. So he does take blame here, but you have to look upstairs as well. I mean, to be fair, Falvey and Levine have to take some of the blame as well. And this is incredibly disappointing. Final thing too is, Phil, the lineup that they're going to put out there today, as we record this a couple hours before they play Game 4 of a series against Texas, who, by the way, they stand to lose 3 or 4-2 if they lose Thursday's game, is not a good lineup. It's just not. It's not that good. So Rocco takes blame. Rocco's had a really bad year, but this is not a juggernaut that he is driving into the ground. This is an incredibly disappointing team, and there's a lot of blame to go around here, including players.
Yeah, Rocco. I don't think Rocco has helped in a lot of these situations. There's been some bullpen management things and just some strategic, tactical things. Blankenhorn at second base. And some of this he's going to be like, well, these are the guys that are on my roster right now. And so, yeah, but do you have to pull Josh Donaldson from a close game that you're going to need defense, right? Just because you want to get an extra step with a pinch runner in extra innings, right? Stuff like that, where I think he's overthinking, overmanaging, and in terms of some of these bullpen situations, leaning too much on what the spreadsheet and the analytics would say. But when you zoom out, last night, again, Jorge Polanco, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Dude is batting 208 with like a 570 OPS. Max Kepler, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Dude's batting 197 with about the same OPS, almost exactly. And so you've got key players that were great for the Bomba squad 2 years ago. What the hell happened? Is it as simple as, well, the ball's different now, and so these guys are just incapable of getting a hit or getting on base anymore? You could argue that 3 of your best hitters a couple of years ago were Polanco, Kepler, and Sano, and those guys were batting at the bottom of your order last night because they're just flailing and searching for anything offensively. So, where is the young nucleus? The young nucleus that we thought was good. You thought 2 years ago Buxton was the one that was dragging behind a couple of years ago. He's the American League MVP, him and Mike Trout right now. Yep. That group that we saw 2 years ago, you kind of thought, wow, these guys are all in their mid-20s. They're all having career seasons. Buxton isn't, but he's going to join the party at some point. And once he does, look out. This is like a 5-year window of Polanco and Kepler and Luis Arraez join the party and Sano and Buxton. And now it's like the only guy out of that group. I mean, Arraez I trust, but Byron Buxton's really the only guy under the age of 30 right now that I'm looking at and saying, all right, that's a cornerstone that I'm sure about if he stays healthy for the next few years. On the pitching side, we talked about it a couple days ago, Barrios, maybe Alcala. Otherwise, we're sort of 5 years into this regime right now, and they've had some success, but it feels very piecemealed, and it feels very rickety with some of the young players that are just struggling the last 2 years.
There are certain parts of this that, to me, and it's not a direct parallel, but it's fairly close to me, are starting to feel like the Wild team that actually won a playoff series against the Avs. And we all said, oh, man, they are coming. I mean, there's a window here. And I can go through the list if you two would like. I mean, you had Granlund, you had Zucker, you had Scandella, you had Coyle. And you think back, though, right? And when they beat the Avs in that series, we all were like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And combine them with veteran talent of Suter, Parisi, which now was what? Like guys like Cruz, right? So you now look back and I think the excuse last summer was pretty simple. It was, well, pandemic shortened year, right? Weird year, 60 games. I mean, they still won the division, but some guys struggled. And you said, well, but the reason why was because things were weird. I think there's a good chance that we're finding out now that 2019 was weird.
Yeah.
And here's the problem, Phil. It's the Twins' job, and starting with Falvey's job, if that's the case, to identify this ASAP, because you need to pivot then. Mm-hmm. Like, this is not let's just wait for guys. This is a pivot of Mitch Garver had a career year. That's not real. And Polanco, that's not real. So this is, to me, it's not acceptable now to say, well, let's just hang back and wait and hopefully 2022 improves. You're going to have to make decisions here because the expectation, rightfully so, is not, I hope they're a nice ball club. This is supposed to be a good team.
Yeah. Every baseball player that spends, a handful or more years in the league is going to have a big season of some kind, whatever, relative to their core or baseline, right? And then you have to determine, okay, was that something that can be the norm multiple years, or is that the pop-up? Is that the anomaly? And to your point, to Polanco and Kepler, they've got the one big season, the anomaly. Miguel Sano really has like the one big season that's kind of an anomaly, where he hit for a little average a couple years ago and hit like 34 home runs or whatever it was. It's the only time he's ever hit 30 home runs in a season. So you really have to figure out ASAP, because if Larnach is hot in the minors, let's say, so Nick Gordon, breaking news, is in the starting lineup today for Jorge Polanco in this series finale. This is Nick Gordon's major league debut. Dude was a former first-round pick, comes from a major league family. D. Gordon, Flash Gordon, the reliever back when I was growing up in the 90s. So
what a curveball.
He's waited like 6 years to get the major league call-up for the first time. He's not spectacular at anything. he hits for a little average, but he's not a big power guy. He'll run into a couple home runs. You know, his career high, I believe, is like 9 home runs in a minor league season. He'll steal some bases. He can play some short and some second. Put it this way, there's a reason why he's 25 years old, and he's just getting the call up now for the first time in 7 or 8 years, because he's good at some things, but he's not great. But there's an opening here. You know, if he performs well, let's say he has a couple of hits or something today, and then he comes and plays in another game over the weekend, right? I mean, I know that Polanco signed a long-term multi-year deal 2 off seasons back, but to me, this team, you're 8 games, 7 games under 500. If Larnach, who had a good game last night for the Saints, and if Gordon, none of these jobs are, like, in terms of Kepler, Polanco, these jobs aren't secure. So no, if someone is hot, this team should look to just put that player in and ride them. Feelings and contracts be damned when you're this buried in the standings.
Yes, absolutely. And you might have to look at a lot of guys that you like and thought that you were invested in long term and move off them. And I don't know that you're going to get a ton for them. In fact, I can tell you right now, you probably aren't. But you need to make decisions here. And I'm not saying right this second, because you don't. But as this season progresses, you're going to have to make decisions on Kepler and Polanco and those guys. Because, Phil, Kepler right now, last night, 0 for 4, struck out 3 of the 4 times, and he is batting 197. And he looks awful. And he's looked bad for a while. Like the Kepler that we saw in 2019, I don't think we've seen since. And so how long, I mean, do you just continue in perpetuity for the rest of that contract to say, I hope he comes back? Or do you say at some point there are alternatives here and this isn't working?
It is, I will say, it is so weird that a player would have a pop-up, not just like a random player. We see the Kyle Garlicks, like guy, or Lou Ford will pop up out of nowhere and have a season, right? But like guys who are highly touted, top 100 prospects, Baseball America, super high draft picks or whatever, you know, however they were brought into the organization. In the case of Kepler and Polanco, they were international signings. But and then they start to put together a couple seasons, and then boom, they have the breakout when they're like 25 or 26. It's very rare for a player of that blue chip caliber, highly touted prospect, break out at age 25, 26. It's very rare that they just go back to being garbage in their prime. In their prime. He's in his prime right now. He's 28 years old.
I know.
And it's like he had this monster season when he was 26, as he should have, as everyone expected him to, as he was touted to do. And 2 years later, he just can't hit. And Polanco just can't hit. And Sano just can't hit. Like, it doesn't make sense that you would pop in your prime and then be just back to be like literally being unplayable, all 3 of these guys. It's so weird.
It is, but it's baseball too. And the thing that drives me crazy, mainly about executives at times in this town, is like the patience, right? Like, I get it. You have to be patient. You have to see. But at some point in time, you've got to put the term small sample size in the dresser drawer and say, it's not. We're going to have to realistically at least explore alternatives and options. I got a question for you about the pitching staff, Phil, and about Rocco's philosophy, which clearly starts above him. So, because I think the one thing that's beginning to drive me nuts, good and bad here, is we are so adamant sometimes about discussions about it's all one person's fault. Like, the Wild's great, and Dean's done a great job, but Bill Guerin is pulling strings left and right, and he should be, and that's fine, okay? That's the good portion. The bad portion is Rocco, and it all comes back to him. And he has had a bad year, so I'm not absolving him one bit. But I am saying, if you don't think this begins above him, you're crazy. Do they need to start to look at, and I'm not suggesting becoming irresponsible, but this bullpen is so unreliable right now. If Barrios, Maeda, Pineda, just to start with those 3, if they have a good start, do they have to put aside what they think is best at times and extend them by at least an inning or so? So I'm not saying complete games, okay? Just to be clear, I'm not saying 120 pitches. I'm asking a real, not hot take question. do they need to examine their plans with at least those three and say, if they're having a good start, we got to try and get 6, maybe 7. I'm not saying 8 or 9, but I just don't see how you continue to run this bullpen out there like it's competent when it's not, and it's costing you games at times.
Yeah, that's a great sort of topic in that they manage the entire staff from starters down to relievers as if everyone is trustworthy, right? And it's time now to start. And I know that there's just not that many trustworthy guys in your bullpen. Even like Colomé came in last night, pitched a couple innings, walked a couple guys again, couldn't find the strike zone. But at some point, you're going to have to find a better way to get through 9 innings. And if that means extending your good starting pitchers by an extra 15 or 20 pitches, now what they might say is, okay, that sounds great in theory, and maybe an extra 15 pitches in a game isn't going to make a guy's arm fall off, but got to be mindful that these guys didn't pitch full seasons last year because of the pandemic shortened season. So it's been a while since they've had a 200-inning workload on their shoulders and their elbows. Mm-hmm. So I empathize in that they're trying to navigate the big picture of not hurting these starting pitchers who haven't pitched full seasons for 2 years, sometimes even longer in the case of Pineda. But also balance the fact that your season's on the brink right now, and there's just not that many trustworthy pitchers that you can go to. So maybe you do have to ride Barrios for an 8-inning start for 120 pitches if you want to lock down a close game, as opposed to turning to, Tyler Duffy on a back-to-back or something. I want to go back to Max Kepler for a second.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of Justin Morneau characteristics. They're both lefty, stoic, young prodigies. Kepler's older than Morneau was when Morneau had the breakout finally and became a perennial MVP candidate. But I remember in terms of like the snap out of it moment, it happened, I believe, a conversation between Ron Gardenhire and Justin Morneau in Seattle in June of 2006 when the Twins were like 8 games below 500. Morneau, who had a pretty good season the year before, had showed some promise. He was like 25 years old in 2006. And I think Gardy sat him down and said, dude, you're hitting 230. Our team is dragging. We need you to be the leader, and we need you to step into the shoes that you are meant to step into as a Major League Baseball player. Mm-hmm. It's time to get serious on the road. Stop going out. You're a professional baseball player. Live up to your potential, right? It was kind of a come-to-Jesus meeting. And from that point forward, it was one of the great surges really in Twins history of a guy going from like maybe even being sent down. Like I don't think it was quite that bad, but like he was striking out all the time. He was batting 230. The power wasn't there like it should be. And he literally went from that day in June, early June 6th or whatever it was, and became the American League MVP because it was in there. It's in there for Kepler. I don't think he's as well-rounded of a hitter as Justin Morneau was because Morneau could go opposite field. Morneau was just a great hitter. I mean, Morneau won a batting title in Colorado later in his career, right? But what's the come to Jesus moment with Kepler, with Polanco, with Sano? Has there been one and they just haven't responded to it?
And who gets
these dudes have shown they have shown that they can perform at an MVP level in the past. Where is it? What's the come to Jesus moment?
And who gets it from them? Donaldson, Cruz. I don't know that Rocco strikes me. I mean, Gardy, for all Gardy's faults, was a fiery father figure type of guy. I mean, I could see him sitting you down, especially back then, and setting things straight. I don't know that Rocco is just as far as personality goes. He's such a live and let live guy. Mm-hmm. And he's not into disciplining. He's really not. He doesn't like to. He really wants you to figure things out by yourself. So I would guess that if there was a come to Jesus, like if Max could be pushed, like Justin was, that it would be Donaldson, who I know is wound incredibly tight, but I mean, his at-bats are really fun to watch. He knows he is a professional hitter. He is a pro's pro.
He's obsessed. He's obsessed.
Yes. But I don't know if that makes him a good guy to have that conversation then, or if it's Cruz. But so that's a really intriguing point because I get what you're saying, and it might be entirely possible. I don't know who Max needs to get that, I don't know who gets that from him though. And here's the problem too. If you look up and down at the guys that are struggling now and have been struggling for quite some time, I mean, we could play a game right now called Fluke or Rally, because there are some guys on here that are going to have been, I mean, no, I'm serious. 2019 is going to have been a fluke. Like, it's just, we're going to have to decide here who basically had a career year, juiced ball, things were great, and they're never coming back to be that player again.
Polanco also had the benefit. He not only did he have a juice ball in 2019, but he also was on some sort of performance enhancing substance the year before. And I don't know. It's just like, how do you gauge a guy that got popped for a performance, especially a hitter? You know, like Pineda got popped, but I don't know. That was like for a diuretic.
I think he was trying not to be fat, which I appreciate greatly. Like, I think he was just a fat man.
Just like Pat and Kevin Williams. We got to make weight for the
Star
bonus
caps.
Here. Yeah. But if you're a hitter and you're on performance enhancers, I mean, Ryan Braun wasn't useless after he got popped, but Ryan Braun was not the same hitter after he got popped. Right. And it's too bad. By the way, we're going to get to some old tweets exposed here in a second, which Declan's very happy about.
I like that.
But I think the season, it's not over yet. But these last two losses to the Rangers, as you had the momentum a little bit, you win a series against Kansas City, you won a couple games the week before, and then you beat the Rangers in the first game, and it's like, all right, now things are settling in. Now this team's going to get back to 500. And that blown loss the other night, followed by the dead-ass performance they put out yesterday. Bases loaded, nobody out, like they just can't get out of their own way. And now they're right back to 11-18. I mean, they legitimately had a chance to be like 13-16 right now, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's like, okay, 13-16, let's get the Rangers one more time, and then let's go forward. Now we're almost back to 500. And now you're staring up 7 games below 500 again, getting into May here. And it's such a hole to climb out of, but I'm going to give it till the end of May to officially call it over, because baseball is a long season, and there are some bats that should, in theory, wake up, but it is looking very bleak right now, unfortunately.
My guy Mitch Garver might be waking up here. He's having a nice little week of baseball. Look out, Mitchie Garver. Mitchie.
6 bombs now.
Yeah, he is at times, but I don't know. I trust him anymore. I think we might be done.
Well, listen, he doesn't need to do a whole lot, all right? He doesn't need to hit 300. Just run into a ball once a week.
Meanwhile, the Cleveland bleeping Indians, boys, are in a 3-way tie for first place in the Central with the White Sox and KC. And in run differential, they're only a +7.
You know, they have an amazing pitching pipeline there. The Twins should really look into hiring someone from the Cleveland Indians pitching pipeline.
Isn't this what's supposed to be happening here? But where are the pitchers? Like, that drives me crazy. The White Sox are +36, but their manager keeps screwing them, and they got guys hurt.
It's hilarious. Like, Tony La Russa didn't know the rules. Like, he had Liam Hendricks running at second base and the extras last night. It's like, he's
making bizarre moves. If I'm telling you, if they had hired a competent manager, I think the White Sox could have a great chance to run away, or could have. And this thing now is going to be, it's going to go down to the wire, because Tony's going to screw up so much, and they've got guys hurt.
Their pitching is so absurd, though. I mean, like, Carlos Rodon, Dylan Cease, these dudes, like Lance Lynn, these guys have all come around.
I'm sorry,
all at the same time here.
Lance
Lynn, your guy, your number one fan,
dude. You honestly, like,
I can't stand him, but he's good.
I'm going to say this to Judd and to everyone. Okay, Lance Lynn is a great pitcher, and he's been in the league for like 10 years. One bad year with the Twins, and everyone here, it's like, I don't know. Part of it was Lance Lynn coming in with a bad attitude, but also part of it might have just been, maybe the Twins weren't the greatest team to be around that year or something. Mm-hmm. Like, Lance Lynn is a great pitcher, so we need to stop mocking him every time he does something good.
Lance Lynn is very good. He also was a major a-hole, which will forever color how I feel. You know what? I wouldn't either, except for the fact that he was so bad here.
Josh Donaldson might be that way too, but if he hits,
we don't know.
I don't really care.
We don't know.
All right, let's get to some old tweets exposed here. Every single Thursday, Declan goes back into the internet archives and exposes Judd and I for the frauds that we are.
You know what?
What do you got this time?
I'll self-report. I will start here. we're gonna go in chronological or reverse chronological order, right? From the most recent to the past. Sorry,
that would be reverse chronological. Yeah.
Thank you. Go Huskies, St. Cloud State. All right, so this is from, I believe, late August of 2020 when the Twins kind of hit a snide for a little bit towards the middle part of 2020, and people started to panic a little bit. And this was me, a couple seltzers in. Full clip, by the way. This is full clip, so this is about a minute and a half long. Just fair warning. Okay. But here we go. What's up, Score North? Zach and Goff. I'm a couple seltzers in. Today's Minnesota Frustration is brought to you by the Mango White Claw. All right, so the Twins lost their 6th game in a row. They come back home after a rough road trip. Nothing seems to be working right now. I mean, even when you jump out to a 4-run lead, your offense can't get another timely hit. Your defense isn't helping you out. Max Kepler making a mistake in the 9th inning. Luis Arraez not turning a double play, maybe even a triple play. You're not getting nothing's working right now. Rich Hill can't find a strike zone with being a 2-pitch pitcher right now with that curveball and 88-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a rough go of it for the reigning AL Central Bomba squad. And the 2020 Twins are obviously not the 2019 Twins. But I'm here to tell you, don't worry. Don't worry about this. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, 1 week ago, they were 10 games over 500. They're basically on top of the American League. That was a week ago. I know we're past the halfway point. The trade deadline comes and goes. You didn't get a big ad. You didn't do anything. That's okay. Josh Donaldson's coming back. The bringer of rain. If that doesn't excite you, you need excitement lessons or to drink some seltzers or something, because that dude's still going to come back and be a very important piece. And if he's healthy and ready to go, then you get some Tommy hits back, and I want to see that guy back in the lineup. Byron Buxton should be on his way back. Cody Stashak should be helping things out. Let's not panic. Okay, let's not act like this Chicago White Sox team, too, who clearly can't field, is just going to march into the postseason and make great plays and be able to come through in this weird thing. No, not at all. Cleveland traded Mike Clevinger today, all right? And they still didn't get an outfield bat. What's the worry? Calm down. Things are going to turn around. Calm down.
Okay, so let's take inventory. So in your everyone needs to calm down speech, rah-rah speech there, you mentioned Donaldson's coming back, he'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Buxton's coming back, he'll be fine. And don't worry, Cody Stashak is amazing, he'll be fine too. Yeah, so Donaldson and Buxton helped you a lot in the postseason, and Stashak was brilliant as he watched one of those home run balls sail up into the seats.
And you were, I would say about 5 in right there, 5 or 6 in.
I had the deep cut on the shirt there. Yeah, I had the little sunburn going on the neck.
Voice was a little bit ragged.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those late summer. COVID restrictions were getting to me.
You tried to frame that up as hey, I know what's the Twins are going to be fine.
Totally.
Really, it was more just you were trying to, I think, explain to yourself everything's going to be okay, even though you weren't 100% sure. All right, that's pretty bad. We'll see what else. Leader in the clubhouse.
Judd. Yeah. So this is Judd. And by the way, our old friends, I believe Derek Wetmore and Danny Cunningham are on this audiogram, but it's a Judd take.
Okay.
It is Judd giving his plan to why you can build a great bullpen game in Game 2 against the New York Yankees in the ALDS.
Martin Perez, innings 1 and 2. Get me 6 outs.
6 outs. Martin Perez. Got it.
Now, I'm going to need you guys' help on 3 and 4, but don't go there yet.
Okay.
The 5th, Trevor May, which is why last night upset me a little bit, because Trevor May deserves an inning in this game. We all agree, right?
Mm-hmm. 1 inning?
Well, at least 1. Okay. We can amend this. I'm giving you I'm giving you a blueprint.
Here's the skeleton.
The 5th goes to Trevor May. The 6th goes to Tyler Duffy. The 7th, and this is assuming that I've got that lead, okay? Because my offense better be coming through, or I'm going to Rami's apartment. I'm going to drag him off his couch right now with his staycation and beat him up.
No, they will.
Okay. 7th inning, Sergio Romo.
Yep.
8th and 9th, Taylor Rogers.
Yeah, exactly.
So I only need the 3rd and the 4th.
So Duffy goes to, May goes to?
Well, if you want to bring in Duffy, or if you want to bring in, that's what I was going to say. Now, I explained to Rami.
I don't know that I trust him.
That's what I said, I know that Bruzdar on Saturday looked fantastic, but that's a big ask.
Sure.
So,
of course it is.
He's on my roster, and I'm not eliminating this. But I think I can get us to a place here.
Kyle Gibson, is he getting an inning?
No.
If he's not going to be in your starting rotation?
No,
I don't trust Kyle Gibson.
I don't trust him.
Derek,
I trust Smeltzer more right now.
What about Zach Littell?
Yeah, Littell,
I love that.
Smeltzer.
Okay.
I think I would go Littell after Perez.
So the third.
Because you've got your opener's a lefty. I would bring in a righty after that.
Oh, the hottest take in there was the instant dismissal of Kyle Gibson for Devin Smeltzer by Judd.
Well, at that time, Kyle was nibbling. He wasn't the Kyle that we saw Tuesday night at Target Field. Okay,
Mart. So we just, I love how on paper it's like, 2 innings from Martin Perez, just no problem.
No problem.
Yeah.
Just 2 innings from him. Don't worry about any of this.
What's
on
the old
paper,
line
this
of-
all sounds great. So just get a 1-0 lead and then just ride these horses to a 1-0.
Well, and
dominant
here's the best part.
a combined no-hitter.
The offense was so good at that point that I just assumed, you'll have the lead on the Yankees.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll score plenty of runs in a playoff game.
You'll be up by 6. Don't worry about it.
That's amazing. All right, let's put
Playoff skid then was like 16, I think. It wasn't that bad.
All right. Okay.
All right. We got one more.
Oh boy.
We got one more.
You're
This
waiting.
was Phil Mackey.
I've never oversold Twins optimism. I don't know what you're going to find here.
And
Find something
given
from-
with how sustainable this new Bomba squad is and how great Falvey and Levine have changed the culture, this is Phil saying, I don't think the Twins brass is getting enough credit.
Can I get on a soapbox real quick here, too?
Sure.
Because I feel like all throughout the last 2 off seasons, especially this off season, Derek Falvey and Thad Levine took so much heat from various fans. Why don't you go out and make a big splash? You're too chicken and the Pollads are too cheap to sign a Bryce Harper, right? Why don't you go out there and make a big splash? And I think we've broken down enough on this show why that's not always the most prudent thing to do and why it's just not feasible for a mid to low market financial team. This front office, let's take a step back here and reflect. As of Saturday night, when the Twins broke the Major League home run record, baseball has been keeping track of stats since just after the Civil War, for God's sakes. And the Twins just hit more home runs in 5 months of a 6-month season than anyone has ever hit in the history of baseball in a season. This front office put together the greatest power hitting team in baseball history. And I almost feel like they're not getting credit. Is anyone praising Derek Falvey and Thad Levine?
With the 4 off-season acquisitions, major off-season acquisitions that they made to their lineup in Cruz, Scope, CJ Crone, and who am I missing? There's one more guy.
Marwin Gonzalez. Yeah.
94 home runs.
Yeah.
Between those 4 guys, 94 home runs.
I think what should be praised, though, is how much they apparently went to school or learned from the mistakes of the previous winter into last.
Honestly, at the time of that,
those are good takes.
they broke the home run record. Declan has frozen.
Yeah, he froze because he knows that picking that clip was
that clip holds up. I am fully confident in everything I said there. Now
Dex wins.
Now the demise of the offense since then. Okay, it's been
Dex
tough
wins
to swallow, but
because Dex was drunk when he did his,
Yeah.
and we
I was
weren't.
buzzed. I was buzzed.
Dude, you were borderline. I
was
mean, it's
buzzed.
fine. It's a few seltzers in.
Yeah.
It was all for
I'm
the sponsor,
stuck.
Declan.
I'm not going to
Nope.
fix this. It's fine. It's fine. I'm
you should just,
now
you,
drunk
honestly,
again.
You
He's just
deserve
bowing
to be
out.
off camera.
He's bowing out.
Thank
of the
you.
show.
Thank you.
Just stay off
Yeah,
camera.
that's the new.
You got
That's
it.
the new. That's the new thing.
All right, so Declan, put one on the board for Declan. He wins old tweets exposed this time around. If you really want, actually, we're coming up here on the 10-year anniversary in early June of 2011 of the It's Happening hashtag. So if you really want to do,
Fitting.
if you want some good, go search like my Twitter
Fitting.
handle and It's Happening, and if you can search from like June and July of 2011, you'll find some juicy
If
stuff.
those T-shirts had only shown up a couple of days before they did, you would probably be you'd be in a mansion right now. You wouldn't be working. You'd be in a mansion if 2 days earlier, you would have moved product.
I'm a pretty calm, stoic, level-headed guy when I'm not talking about the Minnesota Twins and the Vikings and the Timberwolves and the Wild and the Gophers. And for Cheryl Reeve and the Lynx. So I don't want her to tweet at me that I didn't mention the Lynx in that
Yeah,
sense.
I got that tweet a couple days ago from somebody.
I think top 5 most mad I've been in my professional life is when we had the It's Happening hashtag going viral. We had the shirts ready to rock, and our old marketing director, who shall remain nameless, slept on we had to, all we had to do was launch the website, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it'll just be a couple more days," and we were like, "Couple more days," and then they wound up getting smoked in a couple games. Then they lost 5 games in a row. They were up. They had won 15 of 17 games or something, and they were up 9-0 on Madison Bumgarner in the first inning at San Francisco, and everyone was like, "Holy crap, this is happening!" They're like, they went from 20 games under to 6 games under, and everybody was like, this is actually, like, this is legit. You guys weren't joking. This is happening. We could have sold 10,000 T-shirts that night.
Oh, you'd be a rich man right now.
Twitter. Yeah.
You'd be a rich man right now. And
maybe it's the 10-year anniversary. Maybe it'll happen again.
There are potentially T-shirts still in that building in a box that say it's happening.
Oh, yeah.
I have searched. I think we're out of them. And I don't have one anymore. I used to have one last one, and I don't know if it like didn't make one of the moves over the last 10 years, but
did it get lost in the move to Seattle?
But then our best part was we used to have, so we did that, and we had all and we sold some T-shirts, like they came back again, but then we had different colored versions for all the different teams, and then we had a switch in the admin of the old 1500ESPN.com where you could literally click a button, and it would turn the homepage into an It's Happening store, and like based on whatever team. Oh my God, the Wild are making a run. Boom, flip the website to the Wild It's Happening, and there's like T-shirts you could buy on the homepage.
That's genius.
Good times.
You know what? The Mariners might need an It's Happening campaign. They got no hit yesterday.
Yeah.
And almost a perfect game, but they've been a pleasant surprise.
They have been a pleasant surprise. I did go to one game a few weeks ago. It's a good stadium. It's no Target Field. No, it's a good stadium.
Yeah,
I think people out here love it because they've never been to Target Field.
Is the roof like a canopy? Like what's the roof like?
It's just like Miller Park basically. But it doesn't. It allows for more sunlight, and it's down by the waterfront too, so you get the water, you get the breeze.
Gotcha.
The game I went to, I believe the roof was open. It was a night game. I was a couple rainier beers in, so I don't fully remember if the roof was open or not. But it was a good time. It was a good time was had by all.
It's happening.
No, the roof was
That's all I'm
closed.
saying.
The roof was closed. I think.
Okay, the roof was closed. You know that's fine.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Open,
all right,
closed.
Declan, congratulations on your win.
Yeah, good job,
Thank
Dex.
you.
Good job, Dex. You look really good right now. You've never looked
Appreciate
better.
Oh, God.
All right, and that's a wrap today. Action Movie Rewind makes its triumphant return tomorrow. Sylvester Stallone with an 80s blockbuster, Cobra, is our review tomorrow. So if you haven't watched it, catch up on it. We'll do a full deep dive into a movie that was made in the 80s.
Yes.
We'll say that about it.
That's a very nice thing.
All right, see you guys.